Entirely different spontaneities, two very different natures.
Two entirely different spontaneities, two different natures. Joe Campbell tells it like it is, or at least like he thinks it is. Although plain speaking about the nature of men and women, about their differences, is almost certain to offend somebody, Joe seemed to relish the contention, and not without reason. Joe Campbell was a teacher, not a preacher. He wanted people to think, not just to believe. And believe him or not, agree or disagree, he did make people think. And he backed up his points of view with overwhelming scholarship. Based on the habits of Jane Goodall's chimps, Campbell has implied many things about the different impulses that dictate human behavior, male and female. But we are human beings, and to understand those things that both set us apart and unite us, to find our mythological roots, Campbell looks back to the time when our distant ancestors first appeared.
Now the next thing. It used to be thought that the thing that distinguished man from the beast was his tool making. Homo habilis, man the tool maker. This is a female chimp who has made a sheaf of straws like this, has pulled the leaves off and prepared a system of tools for herself. What she is doing is poking this reed down a termite hole. And the termites down there grab it. And then she draws it out and licks them off. And after she's done this for a half hour or so, this stick begins to get soft. So she throws it away, picks up the next one she's prepared, and goes on. We'll go on for 2 or 3 hours this way, like some woman eating candy and reading a French novel. But she's actually got tools here. Now here's a male with a tool, a weapon, threatening. What he's threatening, what he's fighting there, is a mirror reflection of himself. So we know who's going to win. But please notice the legs. Now we come to an artist's representation of an Australopithecine. This is one of the, well, perhaps the earliest grade of hominid that has yet been identified. This is in South and East Africa. This type of creature is now being pushed back to something like 4 or 5 million years ago. He has picked up a tool and is running, but the important thing are the legs. Apparently, the first essential development of the hominid, distinguishing him from the arboreal ape, is this kind of running leg. That released the hands. The way in which the apes walk is with this knuckle use of the front legs or arms. Compare these legs with the beautiful legs of Jane Goodall here. And this is the first thing. It used to be thought the brain enlargement was the main distinction. Not so anymore. It's the legs. This leaves the hands free for manipulation, and then the brain increases. Here is a hand from southern Ethiopia from 4.5 million years ago. There was never knuckle walking on those bones. There's a human hand already 4.5 million years ago. Now, this first type of human being, when we get above the Australopithecine, which has the brain capacity simply of an ape, is the Homo habilis, as he's now called, with a brain capacity a little larger than that of a male gorilla, something like 980 or 60, or between 60 and 80 cubic centimeters. Beyond that, then, we come to the second grade of man, known now as Homo erectus, the first example of which was Pithecanthropus from Java, called Java man. The brain capacity here is up around and slightly over 1,000 cubic centimeters. And here we have a tool from this date, about 500,000 BC in this case. It's a practical tool. If apes could handle stone and break it, the tool would be a practical tool of this kind. But I want to show you something that, for me, represents the emergence of a human type of consciousness, the birth, you might say, of the spiritual life, such as no animal would ever have prepared, and it's this tool here. This is from 500,000 BC and was found on the banks of the River Thames. It's larger than what would be useful. This is about 6 or 8 inches long. But what Robertson Jeffers, the California poet, calls divinely superfluous beauty is here. Now, there are two types of human being. There's the animal human being who is practical, and there's the human being who is susceptible to the allure of beauty, which is divinely superfluous. This is the distinction. It's the first little germ of a spiritual concern and need of which the animals know nothing. Since that is larger than what would be practical, the suggestion is that it must have been used in some sort of ritual context. So there is a slight suggestion here of the probability, if not the possibility, if not the probability, of some sort of ritual action, probably associated with the meat or food that is to be eaten.